What is going on today, fam? So we're back again today, and today we're working on the Vette. As you already know, we're going to be bleeding our power steering system completely in here. So it's actually a pretty simple process. You really don't need too many things to do this, but I'm gonna go over what you do need. So you're gonna need a pair of smaller pliers. You're gonna need a old plastic bottle just to drain the old fluid in. Not totally necessary, but makes the process a lot faster. If you have a turkey baster or some type of syringe, that definitely helps. And then your power steering fluid of choice. I'm going to be going with the Mobil One, a synthetic ATF. I know that this is an ATF, but our transmissions and our power steering systems, they both use a similar viscosity fluid, so ATF is within the specs to use. So I'm going with the Mobil One ATF, which makes it easier because I run that in my transmission anyway, so that's cool. But the first step we're going to want to do is put the car up on jack stands. The reason why you need to put the car up on jack stands is because you're going to have to manually be able to turn the steering wheel to bleed out the old fluid out of your power steering rack. And the reason why you need to manually be able to turn your steering wheel is because you can't have the car running while you do this process, because your power steering pump, it pumps the fluid so fast you wouldn't be able to keep up with the amount of fluid and that it's pushing out. So you'll probably run it dry and then destroy your power steering pump even worse than it probably already is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove our power steering fluid cap. And we're just going to take this syringe here and we're going to go ahead and suck out the old fluid, and we're going to put it in this bottle right here. All right, cool. So we got all the old fluid out, and the reason why the old fluid is this color is because I went with the royal purple synthetic power steering fluid when I did my change last time, but you know, it's a purple color, so that's why it looks so dark. But in reality, the fluid isn't that old. It's not that old, but I think that it's been overheated and it started to break down in its properties, because my power steering pump is showing some, what's the word? I think captivate, I forget the word, but either way, like my pump, it wasn't able to keep up with the demand, and my fluid started to bubble and overheat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and change it out. I honestly think my pump is on the way out, but I'm gonna at least try to save this one and bleed it to see if it's good for the time being. But I'm still gonna new one, but I'm gonna upgrade to a turn 1 power steering pump because they're better for cars that are driven hard to see high RPMs, etc., etc. So we got this all drained out. So next thing we are going to do is we are going to remove our return line. So I will show you where that is in a second. So quick tip, just throughout all this process, you do want to keep your power steering fluid cap off. You do not want that on while you're doing any of this work. So next thing we'll do, we're going to come down here, and there are 2 lines that exit off of this power steering reservoir. There's one in the back here that goes to your power steering pump, but that's not the line that we're going to be focused on today. We're focused on the return line. It actually says return on it if you read right here, but it's your line that's in the front. It's the smaller diameter line. So what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to take that line off, because this is the line that your fluid, your old fluid, is going to come out of when you're turning your wheels to bleed the system out completely. So we're going to take this off right now, and then we need to put a cap on that nipple. And I'm going to show you guys how to make a homemade cap with some rubber bands and just a plastic bag that will serve the purpose that we need it for. So let's get into it. All right, y'all, so I got that return line off, and so that clamp is a bit of a doozy to get to. Fortunately, I had changed this before, but if you never changed this, you're going to want to, like, before you do, so you're going to move the clamp first, but like once you move the clamp, sort of return line will probably be stuck on the nipple. So you're going to want to take a pair of pliers like this or something like that and just wrap them around and just turn it like that to break that seal loose first. I found that tucking my radiator hose in front of the ABS made it a lot easier just to create room here. So that's a good tip also right there. So now that we got that off, we have to create a cover for the nipple or else all the fluid is going to come out. So I got this heavy duty plastic bag and I got some rubber bands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a corner of this plastic bag like this, take one of the rubber bands and cover it up as tight as I can up on the nipple. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So we're going to knock that out and I'll show you guys the finished product. So this part is definitely a bit messy, but if you look under here, you can see how I took the plastic bag right there, and then I took some rubber bands and I created a seal with that. It's not perfect, but it should hold for what we're doing. So now what you want to do is take this return line right here and you want to put it inside of your plastic container. So it just needs to be the tip of it in there just so that extra fluid will go in the container instead of all over your car. So cool, got that in there like that. So now what we're going to do is we are going to add the new fluid, and then I'm going to get in my car, and with the car off, keyword with the car off, I'm going to turn my wheel back and forth. And when the wheels are off the ground, it's not difficult at all to turn your wheel. So I'm gonna fill this up and then we'll start the bleeding process. All right, so I got that filled up, and just so you guys can see, I'm gonna turn the wheels just by my hand. But if you look at the bottle, as I turn left and right, you can see the old fluid starting to come through. And so we're just bleeding all that old fluid out of the rack right now. So all you're going to just keep on doing is going from lock to lock, turning your steering wheel all the way left and all the way right. And then once you see the fresh new fluid start to come out, that's how you know and that you got all of the old fluid out of your system. So it's going to be a process. I'm not going to keep you guys here for it, but once we are done with the bleeding process, I will update you guys from there. All right, y'all, so I got this all bled. I'm able to see fresh fluid coming out that is reddish instead of the blackish purple that we had going on. So now what we are going to do is you're going to have to quickly pull off your little cap for the return line and quickly put back on the return line. So your power steering reservoir should still have fluid in it right now, so you want to be quick just so you don't get power steering all over your ABS unit and stuff like that. So I'm gonna set up the camera and try to do this as quick as I can. Cool, so I got that all hooked back up. That was pretty quick. That wasn't too bad at all. So now we're just going to go ahead and slide back up this clamp up to the top, just so it's clamped on there. And then you can start the car and check for leaks. But one thing you want to be sure of is that your fluid inside the reservoir, before you even start it, it should be at the full code line. You do not want it over. You don't want it at the hot full line, because as your power steering heats, the fluid expands and your fluid can boil over and end up on your ABS unit. So that's something that you don't want. So yeah, another thing is make sure you clean off all that fluid off your ABS unit, because it does have electrical connections and stuff going to it, and you just don't want that fluid to be sitting there because it could short it out or something of that nature. So just a tip. All right, y'all, so we got our fluid at the correct height. So now what I'm going to do while the car is still on jack stands is I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on, And I'm just gonna turn my steering wheel left and right just to make sure there's no air bubbles inside the system. And then I'm gonna recheck my fluid level, make sure everything is good and everything checks out, and then you're good to go. So we're all done. So as I was going through it and just checking to make sure there was no air, I rechecked my fluid level, and after I turned on the car, my fluid level did indeed go down, so I did need to add fluid. And so just be aware, if you're doing this, that once you start the car up, you know, and the pump starts to move around, it may consume more fluid, so make sure that you double check that, and so your fluid is not low. But if you did like the video, please do like and hit that subscribe button along with that notification bell. You know, I always got more content coming because this shit's always breaking. But take it easy, I'm out.